Okay, Shavua Tov.
Good. Bye.
Shavua
Okay,
Tov.
we got another guest coming in.
Shavua Tov. Yeah, we're starting right now. And here we're on, what is this? This is Daf Samach Zayin. Okay, we're about 10 lines down, and we had the Mishnah spoke about when a woman brings in dowry. So how do you, and the husband is Machayiv himself, how does he obligates himself corresponding to what she brought in? So we would think whatever she brought in, that should be the same amount that he obligates himself. But we saw a difference between money and merchandise or property. That money, and neither one is the same amount. The money is, since it's usable and he can make money for it, so it's worth more than it is. So he gives 1.5 times. That was for the 1,000. He gave 1,500.
Gave the third middle.
That's called Malavar.
And
And for merchandise, since they overdo it when they evaluate it, so they take down 1/5. So it either was less 1/5 or more, or how would you call that? 50% more? Is that called 50% more? If for 100 he gives 150, what is that called? That's called adding on 50%. Okay.
that's middle.
Okay, yeah, but the percents always go mulagam, yeah. So it's not okay, good. So now the Gemara talks about gold. That gold, you don't do more, you don't do less. Gold is what it is. And here it's talking about not golden coins, coins is talking about gold, pieces of gold, bars of gold. So then it isn't something that you use in as a currency, but it also is not overestimated, since it doesn't have such an estimate. It's just I think most going to say soon that it doesn't get devalued and it doesn't get used. So therefore, it stays the same price. So when it brings in gold, you have to write in whatever the estimate is. The Brisa says that gold is like kalim. The more thinks that kalim, the more it's not what kalim mean. Kalim, the more thinks my love kalim shall kesef the paxi. Doesn't mean like silver vessels that do get worth less and therefore they have to be estimated, which would mean that you would deduct 1/5, like all kinds of properties and personal things. So that would be a kasha of Yochanan. Yochanan said that it stays the same value and it's estimated for its full value, and you have to be mechayiv yourself the full value. And here's smash for that it goes. You estimate it like property, which would be deducting 1/5. The Gemara says no, that wouldn't be a kasha. These words alone, zavarei kekalim, lo kekalim shazav, lo paxi. It means as if it would be a golden vessel. The golden bar is like a golden vessel, and it doesn't get worth less. It stays the same, and therefore you don't make it. You don't deduct from the estimation. You have to obligate yourself for the full estimation. But the Gemara says first 2 kashas on that. First of all, in came kekalim borle. It shouldn't say zavarei kekalim. They should have said gold is like its kalim, because kalim sounds like other kinds of kalim. If it would mean its own kind of kalim, that bars of gold are like golden kalim, then it shouldn't have said kekalim. It should have said kekalim, like its kind. The nuance of the sentence doesn't sound like it's talking about different kalim, like the same kalim of gold. It's talking about other kalim, which would be silver, and other ones do have to be estimated and deduct 1/5. So that's kasha number 1. Kasha number 2 is that before we just run down the first 4 words, Zav Kalim, so that you could play around with. What does it mean? Kalim shall kesef, Kalim shall zav. But now Gemara is going to read the full price, and then it's going to show that it thinks that it must mean that it's like Kalim shall kesef, which means that it is deductible. It means that you do take down 1/5. For all Tanya, the Brisa says the following words. Not only the first 4 words, let's read the whole Brisa. Zav Kalim, gold, golden bars, pieces of gold. It's like vessels, which we don't know what that means. Does it mean golden vessels, silver vessels? We don't know yet. But then it says, that golden coins, these are made into coins. It's already minted into currency, dinner. So then it has a din of money that is also used as a currency, and therefore you have to add on also 50%. The Pashpashan, the Bryson means is talking about the golden coins, and it says in places where they don't use it as a currency. They don't take the golden coins and use it as a currency. You don't change it. The parton means to make it into small change. You don't use it. It's not in the currency. So then you evaluate it, then it's regular value. You don't have to add on more because it's not something which is used in business. So that's just a piece of gold. So the Gemara wants to understand what's why Shimon Gamliel is saying different than the Tanna Kamma. The first shot is that the Tanna Kamma says in all cases golden coins are considered money and you have to add on 50%. And the Shimon Gamliel says only when it's used as currency, not when it's not used as a currency. But the Gemara is going to say that doesn't make sense. No one can argue. Shimon Gamliel is surely true that if it's not used as currency, so why should you have to add on 50%? So Shimon Gamliel, on which case is he arguing on? If he's arguing on what we just talked about, the din rezav, and he's saying that the golden coins in a place when you don't exchange them for small money is considered their value. The Tanakhama is going to argue and say, even in a place where you don't use it as currency, also you have to add on 50%. Although nafki, it's not used as currency, so it's not the whole reason why you have to pay extra is because you could use it, but this is not usable. Must be all part of the kasha. Must be that the B'Shema Gamliel is not arguing on the sefer, the case of din rezav. He's arguing on the case of zahav, pieces of gold, and he's coming to argue about something. What does he mean? My kalim shal kesef. Tanakama must have meant that gold does not have a din of gold. Gold has a din of kalim shal kesef, which means that it is you do deduct the fifth. And that B'Shema Gamliel argues that the gold is considered like golden coins in a place, golden pieces, golden bars are considered like golden coins in a place where you don't exchange it. And that would mean that there's a machlokus about this issue. It means Rabbi Yochanan fits with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, but according to this trial, it comes out Tanakam argues, and Rabbi Yochanan is against the Rabbanan. Rabbi Yochanan is saying that you evaluate gold for what it is, and you have to, as husband has to obligate himself for the value that was estimated. That's only Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, but Tanakam argues and says that you do deduct the fifth. The Gemara answers this with two possible answers. Lo, you can say it differently. That there's no machlokes. Tanakama when he says that gold is evaluated, kikelim means like kelim shel zav, and that's like Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is not arguing with Tanakama. You don't have to make any pshat. And the question was, if he's talking about golden coins, didn't raise up, so how could it be a machlokes? Everybody should agree that if it's not used as currency, so it shouldn't be considered, shouldn't not like money, and you have to add on 50%. But the case is not that bedochak you could change it. It means it's not really used as a currency, but you could get somebody to change it. Like not all the banks, let's say, not all the banks are going to change golden coins for small coins, but there are some that would. Means bedochak you can also make it to the market with golden. That's the machlokes. Since the mice you could use it if you want to, bedochak you could use it. You could change it and get smaller coins. So therefore, we do make it worth more. We say you have to pay 50% more because you could use it as a currency. Since it's only the docha you could use it, so we don't make it worth more. We don't say you have to pay 50% more. According to this shot, what happened in the Brisa? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel was arguing about the sefer din rezav, and he didn't argue on the ratio about zahav, and therefore the first case is almost like you could say everybody says that the golden bars are deducted a fifth because it is considered like merchandise. So we got through it. We said a possibility of Yochanan is right. Ibo is saying, but there's another way I can learn the Brisa also to avoid saying Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is arguing on Tanakama and Rabbi Yochanan only fits with Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, not like Tanakama. We could get that also. Ibo is saying, including Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, there is no machlokes. The only problem was, how could the Tanakama argue? Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is so strong that golden coins that are not used in currency, so why should they be considered money? And the kasha was, how could the Tanakama argue on that? Now we're going to say it's not going to machlokes. It's just missing some words. The Chasur, everything is Rabbi Shimon Gamliel talking. The Chasur Mechzer is missing some words. They should read like this: as we said, golden bars are considered like kalim, which means kalim shel kesef. That you do deduct the fifth, and now the rest of the Brisa is talking about golden coins. But then the Tana himself says no machlokes. The Tana says and only if the gold is used as currency. So then you have to add on 50%. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel is what I was talking, and he says that if it's not used as currency, so then you just give it its full value, not more, not less. Because Rabbi Shimon Gamliel said so, that if you don't use the gold as a currency, so then you just evaluate it for its worth. The old husband has to accept upon himself the value that was estimated. So far, all this was to answer the second kasha. If we look back again, just to zoom out a second, we had a Yochanan statement, and then we had a kasha from a Brisa. We had two kashas on that. We said Kalim. What does Kalim mean? L'chorah means that's like Kalim shel kesef, which means you do have to deduct the fifth. The Gemara tried to get out of it by saying this term is slow, Kalim shel zav, and that the Gemara had two kashas. The first kasha was that the words don't meet so well. The nuance of the words kikei love. It shouldn't have said kikei lim. It should have said kikei love if it's talking about golden Kalim. And the second kasha was the Brisa. All this 10, 15 lines was only to get out of the second kasha. That the Brisa, we were able to figure out Rav Shimon Gamliel that he's not going back on the first halacha of Zahav, so therefore that was the whole tircha we had, was just to figure out the answer to the second kasha, but we never answered the first kasha. Now the Gemara comes back to that on the second wide line. The first kasha that we asked, we never answered. The words don't sound like the golden bars are pieces of gold that they're considered like kalim shel zav. Sounds like it's kalim shel kesef, and that's against Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says pieces of gold are estimated for the full value, not more, not less. So the Gemara says three things about that. First of all, kasha. Okay, kasha means like, okay, it's a dochak, but we could say that even though it should have said kaleb, kaleb also means the same thing. That's not so impressed with the kasha. But the Gemara has another two possibilities. The boy is saying, dava pricha means crushed gold. Rashi says on that. Rabbi Yochanan is talking about big pieces of even though it's broken also, broken pieces of gold or bars of gold. That's big pieces. That's when he says that it's considered for its value. And the Brisa that says that it's considered the fifth is talking about toes. So then you do lose some of it. So then it doesn't stay the same value as the original one because pieces do get lost. Maybe no fill by hand. Some pieces. Maybe the point is that some of it gets rubbed out. The regular gold, if you have a golden bar, so then you don't lose anything. But if it's going to be grutos, which means like broken, a lot of broken pieces, so then maybe you do lose some of it. So there wouldn't be a contradiction. It depends what kind of golden pieces. And Rabashi Yomar b'mallah. So what does that mean? Rashi seems to say. They say like gold dust or something like that. That's the price that says that again you do lose on that. Rashi says it means when your mind goes up and so when you mine the gold. So then that's what the price was talking about. And Rabbi Yochanan's din is still true that gold is not estimated not for more, not for less. On one hand, it doesn't get worth less anything. You don't have to subtract anything. Before the Gemara spoke about that they exaggerate when they estimate it. Here the Gemara says another point is that it gets worth less. So then you deduct the fifth. But the bar of gold, that's the main point. The Gemara started with Yochanan. The Gemara states at the end of the day, Yochanan is true. That gold is evaluated for its full value, not more, not less. The husband has to obligate himself. It's not considered currency because you don't use it as a currency, and it doesn't lose anything. It means it seems also that the people don't overestimate it. They don't do the favor of being flowery and exaggerating, and also it doesn't become worth less. So there's no reason why to deduct the fifth, and therefore it stays the full value. The word conscious, and the answer was there are other kinds of gold, maybe also smaller pieces of broken chips of gold, or maybe sawdust, the gold dust. These things you do deduct the fifth, but if it's a piece of gold, it's not going to get lost in any way. Nothing's going to get rubbed out. Nothing's going to be devalued. So then you stay for the full value. We also once we finished the sugya, we finished the sugya already, but also we saw the golden coins. It depends if it's used as a currency or not. If it's used as a currency, so then like all currencies, you have to add on a third or 50%, and a shilish malava. And if it's a place which is not used as a currency, so then it's for its full value, not more, not less. It doesn't get devalued, and also it's not used as currency, so it's not worth more. And to that sugya, the Gemara has a few other issues about this issue if something is considered money or not. Amr Rabbi Yanai, the summer Mishal Antuchya, rain kicks up in Antuchya and Antiochus, Antioch, probably place in Greece, Antuchya. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not sure where it is, but there's a place where they use basamim, and the basamim was used as the currency. There are some places that they had some kind of product that was used as currency. They used it as currency. Nowadays, I don't think we have that anymore in our places. Maybe there are some countries where they do. So in some places, there's a certain product that's used as currency. If it's used as currency, so then we said the things that you make money on. So then you have to add on this 50%. So in this particular place, on Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachmani, on Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yonasan, maybe Gemalim shel Arabia Isha Gova Panamiyam. Rashi learns this more means the same thing. That in Arabia, camels also, that was the currency. They used it very much for bartering, and therefore you can make money on the camels. So the same way, the word parna, Rashi says later on that maybe it means ksuba or means the extra revach, the extra money, that she does collect more. That if she brought into the ksuba these camels, so then the camels are estimated, yes, obligate himself not just the value of the camel, but also the 50% more because they used as currency. Amra Papi Hani Tosfi the Bemirsi, you should go over Parna Mayhem, they're stating over different places, different items. Just Rashi says means clothing in a place called Mixi, Mixi. So too is used as currency. Every time and place and time that if they use something as currency, so you have to add on the 50%. Hani Saki the Gudya and Ashley the Kampunya. You should go over Parna Mayhem. Saki, I guess, means sacks. I'm not sure. Saki would mean some kind of sackcloth that they would use that as currency in a place called Rudya. Actually means ropes of Kamuth, Funya. The exact translation doesn't make a difference over here because it means every time and place, whatever is used as a currency, so she has a right to get that he has to obligate himself 50% more because he gains on it. My time Rashi had changed the pshat. Leave the word parna. What does the word parna mean? So till now Rashi said parna meant the extra third, the extra 50% that has to be added on. But here, Rashi learns the point is considered karka, because the halach is that a woman only collects her ksuba from karka, from real estate, and not from a taltalin. And here, these things are considered, the Gemara is going to talk about if these things are considered karka now. So Rabbi said in the beginning, I thought that these arniki means a pouch of money. And mechuzah is a place where Rabbi was the Rav. It's on the other side of the Tigris, the Gemara says someplace. And that way he was the Rav, and he thought that the people should consider that as good as real estate. What does real estate mean? That people, some of that they rely on it. They have smichas das. What's the difference between real estate and movables? Because real estate's not going anyplace. And the movables, you don't know, here today, gone tomorrow. But he thought, he said in the beginning, I used to think that the women, they rely on these anarchy. Anarchy means a pouch of money. And I'm not sure if the one means differently. And the women do seem to rely on that as good as real estate. And therefore, you could collect the ksuba from it. But chilin the chazoi, the shaklu, the nafki, the chimashki, aro, zavli buhu, amena samachtayu arahu. Then I saw I was wrong. I saw that they would take it, they would get it, and then they would get divorced, and they would find real estate, and they would exchange the money for real estate. So now I see that they're not relying on the money. They also consider that the real estate is real estate, that the karka is not going any place, and even the money is not as valuable to them as the real estate. Only so much das. They know when there's karka that that's what there's so much das on. Therefore, only could collect the ksuba, even in mechuzah, only from karka. Taisa points out again, we had it before once before, that even though the Gemara, you only could collect ksuba from karka, but there's a tekanas gaonim that they bring out from Avshura going. At the end of the where's Taisa over here? Here he says there's a tekanas gaonim, gavya metaltli the yasmi kiglosh kos b'ksav Avshura going. There's a later on tekana after the Gemara. They made a takana that you could collect from a taltalim also. So even though according to the Gemara you can't collect super only from the karka, but it was later on takana. But in the Gemara alone, the Gemara talks about this anarchy. Maybe it was considered ksubor, and the Gemara says even that also not only real estate. And to that sugya, and if that's good, we continue to the next Mishnah. Amesi as bito stam. If a person marries off his daughter, yes.
Marsh asked the question concerning gold dust.
Right, the Gemara talks about it. We said that the gold dust is considered not, you have to estimate it, but you take down a fifth. It's like any kind of merchandise that you take down a fifth. Here the Gemara says because you do lose something from it. It doesn't stay in its full. You lose some of the dust. According to Rashi's pshat in this Mimala means gold dust.
And it's interesting, the last Rashi brings down on the side of the Megillah says piruri sort of.
Okay, crumbs. I guess that's what they mean to say. I guess that's what they mean. Macy as Bito Stam. If a person marries off his daughter, so it sounds like a Eitzah Tova. Shouldn't give her less than 50 zuz a dowry. That's the minimum that a man should give his daughter for dowry. 50 zuz. The Gemara will talk about what kind of zuz. What does it mean today? I don't know how to translate it to today. He should give his daughter a minimum of something to be able to get taken to the marriage. Pasak lachnisa aruma lo yomer abal kishachnisena lebeitzach nesena bechsusim. Means the father, even though it's advisable that he should give her daughter some kind of a dowry, but he has a choice. If he decides to give her nothing, he could. Whatever reason he has, he says, I'm not giving her anything, nothing. So then the husband has the obligation to make sure that she's dressed when she comes from the husband's house, the father's house to the husband's house. That's his obligation. You can't say like she's nobody's property yet. The father said goodbye and the husband didn't say hello yet. So what's going to be on the way? So the husband has to take care of her on the way. He shouldn't say, I'll give her clothing after she comes to my house now. It's the father's obligation or something that's stuck obligation. No. He's trying to take care of her already from the father's house because then the father is already leaving her and then the husband takes over. So it says that a minimum that a person should give his daughter advice is that at least 50 zuz. And it says also the Yisoma, if there's a the community is taking care of an orphan that's getting married, so they should also give her don't give less than 50 zuz. That's how much she needs to get started. And and also the people, if there's more money in the kupa shel staka, so then they should give her more according to her level that she really deserves according to her status. So we had a similar Gemara before. It said Chamish Mezuz, and also Abai said over there, says in the side over there, Samachem and the base, he had the same thing. He says when it says Chamish Mezuz, over there the Gemara is talking about the clothing that a man buys for his wife, 50 zuz worth of clothing every year. So Abai said it's talking about the low currency, which is suri And in Medina, Tsuri is 8 times worth. Here it says the same thing. When the Mishnah says zuz, it doesn't mean the upgraded currency of Tzor, that 50 zuz is a lot of money. He's going to say that's a lot of money. Yeah, it's talking about a minimum. It must be the Shiti, which means that the Medina, which is a eighth less than the Tsuri money. How does he know that? With the time say the kiss, the finance and also the before that says if Tzedakah has more money available, they give her more. But me and Mike say kiss, what does it mean that it's in the pocket? It means it's in the Kupa Shal Tzedakah. If the wallet of the Tzedakah has more funds, they should give her more. He's talking about if it means 50 zuz of Tsuri, and Mesh kiss, how much are you going to give her? That's already a lot. It means 50 zuz of Tsuri is so much money. It's surprising to have to give a bride more than that. That's a lot of money. Now, it must mean the low currency of 50 zuz, which is Medina, and that we understand that that's a minimum. That's mamish minimal, and if you have more, you should give more. Now the Gemara is going to go into halachas of tzedakah. The rest of the sugya today is going to be tzedakah. A lot of agalata also. Tanu Rabbanan, Yosef Yisoma Shabbat is parnes. An orphan, a boy and a girl, orphans, they come not the same, not the same family. Two, the tzedakah only has enough money for one of them. Who goes first? Who has preference? The Yosam or the Yosama? The boy, the girl was an orphan. How do you say an orphan girl? Also, this orphan is the word. There's no word for an orphan girl, not an orphaness or anything like that. So, Yosem and Yisoma, they came to be for money. They need parnasa. They need food. The girl goes first. It's easier for a boy to go begging by the doors. If he has to, he'll have to. But a girl to go begging by the doors, it's not her way. It's too much of a design for the girl to have to beg by the door. So therefore, the boy will take himself until we get money for him. But the girl needs help more. Next case, Yosem Yisoma, we turn the page on the page of Old Nasi. I want to get married. Who do we help to get married first, the boy or the girl? Because the shame of a woman is more than a man, so the woman is not getting married is more sensitive than the man is not getting married. So first we take care of the girl, then next time we have money, we'll take care of the boy. When Yosem has to get married, so we have to help him out. What do we give him to get married? First of all, you rent a house for him, rent an apartment. We get for him a bed, and also anything else that you need, whatever utensils you need in the house, the minimum utensils. Then you give him the wife. First, take care that he should have a house, an apartment, and whatever basic needs he needs, and then give him the wife. Shenamar, the Gemara giving a pasuk as a smart at this. It says in the pasuk, we'll highlight the pasuk over here. It says you should give him his needs that he needs. His lacking that he's lacking. So the more dashins, they machsoro ze abayis. And lo, it has three parts to the pasuk. It has de machsoro, and then it has asher yachsar, and then it has lo. So we're going to dash in each. It's not going. Okay. So it says that this pasuk is divided into three. De machsoro ze abayis. The real thing is missing. That's a house. Asher yachsar has something else that is missing. It's a mita v'shulchan. The bed, the table, basic appliances that he needs. And then it says the word lo. What's lo? That's a remnant to the wife. Has the word lo. The word lo. Lo is a code word for a wife. So therefore we marry him off and we get for him first the necessities that he needs, a house and whatever furniture he needs. Now we go into tzedakah, not related to getting married. It says in the pasuk, so we dash in Demachsor means you're commanded to support him, but not to make him rich. You don't have to make him rich, but he needs only. But then it says also whatever he's missing, that means there's something that's called missing, even though for other people it might be considered a luxury, but for some people it's not. Even if he was a person who was on a high standard, he was aristocratic, and he used to have a horse to ride on, and now he doesn't. So then, in order that he shouldn't be embarrassed, so you give him that also. I think it means. I think once set up shot that it doesn't mean that he's already poor and he used to have a horse, and that it means that he shouldn't fall from his position if people don't know yet that he can't afford a horse. So you give him the horse because right now he's missing it. That if he's going to fall from his stature, from his bracket, so it's going to be a big design for him. So if he needs a horse, so not because 10 years ago he once upon a time had a horse, now we're going to bring him up to that again. I think I heard that that's the shot, but I don't remember exactly, but it would make sense. So something that the aristocracy would have a horse to ride on, and ever lowers the fun of. I don't know what this culture was, but they used to have somebody, ever that would be running a forerunner. Like he went in front of the rider. I'm not sure what that is exactly. He ran as fast as the horse. What was that?
There could be a secretary or something.
But what would it be? Yeah, application I can understand. But what would in the old days exactly? somebody had a slave that was running in front of the pasuk says by Leo and Achav. It says by Yosef. I don't know what it was exactly. The pasuk says a few times. I'm not sure what the culture was exactly. They would, if they would, unless it means that he didn't ride fast. They can't run as fast as the horse goes. So what does it mean that he would ride and they would be escorting him on
No,
by
maybe
foot?
it means that he prepares the horse and everything. It
Like,
doesn't mean
okay,
literally
like what's the
running in
fun now?
front of him.
Any case, maybe we should. Okay, if anybody has anything to look into commentaries, I don't know what it is, but it's in the pasuk also says such thing. The point is that if he was used to some kind of luxurious status, so you watch out that he shouldn't fall from that.
Is that the end of that?
That's the end of, and then no, continues with the story now, just to back it up.
That's the covet.
Yeah, that's right. According to his bracket, that was what I was used to, but I just don't understand what the cover, just the practical, what did happen. The slave ran as fast as the horse, like that doesn't happen. So I don't get exactly. I'm not asking a kasha, just I don't understand. That hill Azaki once did that. There was Ani Ben Tovim. We had the full expression. Ani Ben Tovim means that he was the rich of a rich family, Ben Tovim, like the son of a rich family, and he himself became poor. And he bought him a sus to ride on and an eved to run before him. One time he couldn't find that eved. The rest of the fun of Shlosha Mil, he himself did. He himself ran 3 mil. So I don't know what it means again. What does it mean? He runs it. I don't know what it means. What did this Ani think exactly that Hillel is going before him? Maybe it was when he was a young man still. Hillel Zakin and still was a young man. I don't know the pshat. I don't get it. But it means that he took care of him. So again, I heard a pshat that if he already is down and just because he like the luxuries upon, maybe not. But maybe the case would be that in order that he shouldn't fall and he shouldn't lose his status, so we do help him out. Now comes a lot of stories. Tana Rabbana. There was a story with the people of the Upper Galilee. They would buy for Ani Ben Tovim, this person who was once rich, a rich family, and he became poor. They bought for him a liter of meat every day. Now, liter, I said liter. It sounds like the same word, but whatever it is, a certain amount of measurement of meat. And the Gemara is not so impressed that even though he eats, that's not so much meat. Litra, I don't know what it means. I don't know what measurement this is. If anybody, I don't have with me, but there's this measurement, how many grams it was. So the Gemara says that's not so much. Litra basa my rebusa. That's such a big chiddush that if he's a poor person, okay, but he's saying they're giving him like he was a rich person. Rich people eat much more than a litra basa. Amravuna litra basa mishal opos, that it was bird meat, poultry. Oh, that's more expensive. This depends on the time and place. But yes, chicken is cheaper than meat. But here it seems that this was more expensive. In these times and places, opos, I know there are places today also, I think that the chickens are more expensive than meat. I think Argentina, if I remember correctly, someone from Argentina told me that the meat is much cheaper than poultry over there. So that's the one means that this was a chiddush. The boy saying, but literally.
He brings it up here, the price is human, brings out a different year, so you brings up Wasser Moyach Oifus, the Moyach of the Oifus. I guess that was the delicacy.
The boy saying, but litra basar mamash. Belitra means not the weight of the meat, but there's a coin. There's some kind of a coin that was a liter of coin, some kind of a amount of money. They bought meat with that amount of money, not that weight, not that measurement of weight of the meat, but how much money that they paid for his meat. That it was a small village and they wanted to give him meat, but they didn't have enough money with the rest of the meat that if they had a big city, so then the meat will be sold. The rest of the meat will be sold, but they didn't have customers for the rest of the meat. So they would slaughter a goat, a sheep, whatever it was, and the rest of the meat went to waste because he needed this liter bus, even though it wasn't so much. But since he was used to having this amount of meat every day, so they went out of their way to give it to him, even though it cost them a lot of money. New story. So this is the point of Lani Ben Tovim that you're supposed to, if you have, of course, the real person, the poor person goes first. That's no question. But if you have only choice of one, he goes first. But there is also a consideration to take care of the people who once were rich, or that they shouldn't fall from their position and be embarrassed, or they're not used to it. For them, it's considered poor. Next story. Who does look a poor person came to Abnechemia. Abnechemia asked him, "What is your meal? What do you eat? What's your menu? What's your diet?" I eat fatty meat and old wine, like a very expensive diet. So he didn't have. He told him, you want to have some lentils with me? And how long that took. He only lived off that dashim and he eventually died. He wasn't used to that. Amar, oy
This
loy,
Gaga,
this guy. So,
Gaga Limo, he ate with that.
can I trouble you for the, let's look into this, their translation? Literally, it means to roll, right? But it means that he stayed with him. But let's get a better translation than that.
But it means he's eating the Adashim.
Yeah, he was staying with the Adashim for as long as it was. It doesn't. I don't think it was just one meal, but he wasn't able to live on such a kind of a diet. Then eventually he died. Let's see what they talk about the Gilgal Imo. Are you interested in joining me in eating meals of lentils? Okay, that says joining me. I don't know if that's a literal, but that's the idea. So he did, but he died. Amar, so Nehemiah said, "Oy loy lazeh shehargo Nehemiah." Woe to this person that Nehemiah killed him. I gave him a dashma and I killed him. Oy loy Nehemiah shehargo lazeh. So the Gemara says he should have said, "Woe to Nehemiah that he killed him." Like he just said, "Woe to this man that Nehemiah killed him." He should have said, "Woe to Nehemiah." Like he should have taken the blame that he killed him. The Gemara says, "No." It was his fault. He shouldn't have made himself so to live on such delicacies. It was his fault.
It was the person's fault.
Right, for making himself such a high standard that he couldn't live on a lower standard. So it was his fault. It wasn't. It could be that he wasn't the only Ben Tovim. It could be like before we had the cases that somebody that was used to a rich died because his parents were rich, and then he went down. So then it's not his fault. For somebody, it seems over here that it wasn't his real. He wasn't his wallet. He wasn't able to uphold such a kind of a menu. So it's his own fault that he put himself in a position that he couldn't support his own diet. Next story. A poor person came to Rava. Amalo b'mata. So what do you eat? What's your menu? Amalo b'tan golos b'tuma v'yan yashan. Stuffed chicken and old wine. Also very fancy delicacies. Amalei v'lo chiashta l'dofka d'tzibur. You don't care. You're not worried about pushing the tzibur. Means you're living off the tzibur's money. So for the minimum, okay, but you don't have. But here you're making such a high standard
He
menu.
didn't have at this point. That's the
Why?
point. We know that he didn't have, or if he become poor.
No, he was asking. He was asking for.
He was
food.
asking for
He
food.
was asking for food.
Oh, I see.
And Robert
Okay.
said, "Don't you care about the tzibur that you're pushing them, and they don't, they don't have so much money. What are you pushing them for?" Am I eating from them? I'm eating from Hashem. Hashem gives me the money. Hashem is gonna. The Tanina we learned in a Bryce, I guess. Famous pasuk we say in Ashrei that the eyes of all are to you, hoping, and you give them their food. You give to them their food in its time. That's the most actual word beito, in its time. Beitam I should have said plural, in their time. Everybody looks at you and you give to them to their time. Since it doesn't say it there, it says his. Each person has his own time, his own menu, whatever food he needs, each one gets his own. Like when animals also, each one gets his own food. So the people also, each one gets his own food. And I'm not taking from you, I'm taking from Hashem. While they were talking, so Rabbi's sister came. He hadn't seen his sister for 13 years. And all of a sudden she came. And what did she bring him? So for her brother, she brought a stuffed chicken and old wine. So brother said, this must have been for you. What's happening over here? That he said like he's wondering, wow, 13 years, I never had this before.
What's to come?
What is before us? Rashi says, means I spoke to you like too much. I over spoke to you. Get up and eat. This is for you. Like he saw that Hashem sent it for him. People talk about this Gemara. They say about bitachon, but I don't see bitachon. Someone doesn't say bitachon over here. Bitachon would mean if you say he has something to do with bitachon and he doesn't have to work, then they would say he would stay home and he would wait for the stuffed chicken to fly in. But he went to the Gabbai Stucker. He did establish, but is that the right establish or not? Can he go to, is he able to go to the Gabbai Stucker, and does the Gabbai Stucker have to give it to him? That's the sugya over here that the Rabbi said it's not right to throw yourself onto the tzibur. They don't have such money. And he said, if I'm supposed to get it, Hashem will send it to me through you. But that's again, it's not a bitachon. That's not what do bitachon. What?
I would think it's hashgacha pratit.
Yes, but the Rabbi, so Rabbi said this must be for you. Like the fact that I never get such a thing, this package must be for you. But
30 years.
yeah.
She wanted to bring us. She probably didn't feel so good.
She meant it for her brother. But I think that you can't learn the halachas of bitachon over here. I don't think this is a good source for bitachon and shtaros.
Of the weather, and every day he brought it, and every day the Rebbe said, "Oh, after Rebbe's, Hashem's going to take care of it." And he says, So Hashem's gonna take you. I'm the guy that does it. He says, one day I'll show the Rebbe, and he says, I won't bring him the food. And he didn't prepare any food for the Rebbe, and he wasn't gonna give it to him. And then sure enough, someone shows up and brings the Rebbe the food. And he says, now I see that.
But there is a thing we have to learn another time about the B'tachan Ishtadlus as a person allowed to minimize his Ishtadlus, whatever he has to do in order to get the food, because it says Al B'tachan. Is there such a thing? Some people bring down this Gemara as a proof. I don't think it's a proof because it doesn't say that he didn't try to get it. He went to get it. He went to the Gabbat Tzedakah. So this is no proof to that subject. Tana Rabbanan, second white line. Elo v'ein rozer l'spani. So the person is poor, he doesn't have money, but he doesn't want to take from tzedakah, and he's going to die. He doesn't have money, but he refuses to take from tzedakah. So what do? So you give it as a loan. You tell him pay back. We're lending it to you now, and pay us back. That way you'll accept it. And then you never ask him back for it. It means it's a way of tricking him in order to accept him. Because we want to give him, he doesn't want to take. So you tell him it's only a loan, and he doesn't have money, so he's not going to pay back. And then I don't know how to translate that. We get the idea. What does he say?
And then he goes back and gives it again.
No. He doesn't ever ask for it. You never ask them back for it. We give him the necessary food as a loan, and then we turn around and give them to him as a gift. Not that you give him a second time.
And then you go, I see.
You change your policy and you make it into a gift. Don't tell him. So the way it says it doesn't make sense. It's give him as a present, and then you give it to him as a loan. So that doesn't make sense because he doesn't want to accept the present. That's the whole problem. It still has a price, and now the Gemara takes over. You want to give him as a present first. That's the whole problem. He's not accepting it. Let's first you try. First you do try to give it to him as a gift. If he doesn't accept it, so then you give it to him as a loan. It means he agrees with you, Rav Meir, that you give it to him as a loan, but you do try. You do try first to give it as a gift because you know that he can't afford it. If he doesn't accept it, so then you give it to him as a loan. That was all about a person who doesn't have, and he doesn't want to take tzedakah. How about a person who has enough money, but he doesn't want to use it? From him. So the problem is that it works for one meal, but he's not going to take it again. That's the more jumps up and says it's not going to work. If you do that one time, he's not going to take next time. He's not going to go for your trick because you showed that you don't mean it, that you're really going to collect it. You will after he dies. Means you support. You know that he's sick. If he's sick in his mind. He has a problem. He's not going to eat his own food. He has money. He's not going to use it. So you support him, but you keep a cheshbon how much you gave him. And when he dies, you take it away from the Yerusha. We supported him on the cheshbon of the tzibur, and he had no right. So you take it away from the Yerusha. If he has money and he doesn't want to use his own money, we ignore him. We don't do anything for him. The Tanakhama said that you take care of him and then you collect from the Yerusha. And Rosh Hashanah says no. If he doesn't want to use his own money, you don't do anything, and he'll die. He's killing himself. And another case we spoke about before, that if he doesn't have money and doesn't want to take, and before we said that you give him a loan, here it says, we tell him bring a collateral. It means we're going to give you, but only he's going to pay. You make it serious. It means you make a whole story that we need a collateral, and bring your collateral, then we'll give it to you, as if to show that we're only giving it as a loan.
What's the tool?
And take the kach. That he should feel good about it. He should feel that I'm only taking it as a loan. And then Rashi says that then he says, I don't have a mashkon to give you. It's okay, so take it without a mashkon. But he gets the story that we're just lending it to him, so he feels good about it. Make him feel good. Tanu Rabbanan, Haveit. The pasuk says here, just to highlight the pasuk over here. It says in the pasuk Haveit, Tavi. What does it say that? Tavi Tenu. Okay, I can't do it exactly. Yeah, Havei Tavitenu.
What does it mean? What's it?
Havei Tavitenu de Machsavo Asher Yachsalo. The idea of the pasuk is going to be to give tzedakah. Let me just look it up a second to get a good translation. Devarim 15. Did anybody has to translate? Oh, here they have it right here. Let me see how they translated. The verse states lend. He says word means lend. Lend. That's how he translates the word. Lend.
Uh-huh.
So how big? So what does it mean lend? It really is talking about stuck over there. This is talking about a person that does not have, but he doesn't want to accept tzedakah. So you lend him, like I said before, that you do the trick of lending him. At first you lend it, then you never collect it again. It's a way of getting tzedakah by lending, just to make it look like it's lending. The person then says tabitenu. That's the opposite person, that he has money, but he doesn't want to use his own money. So what do you do? That's also kind of a loan. That means it's a different kind of a loan. You tell him that it's a present, but really it's a loan because you're going to collect after he dies. So he holds, like we said before, that if he doesn't want to use his own money, you do support him, but then you take it back again. So there are two kinds of lending. One is lending that you lend him and you're really going to keep it as a present. And the other one is that you give it as a present, but it's really only a loan because you're really going to take it back. That was Rabbi Yehuda, and before we said that, Rabbi Shimon argues.
It's after Misa, right?
Right.
But probably the reason he's doing it is because he wants to have Yerusha for. Why doesn't he want to spend?
Yeah, because he has a sickness. If he doesn't use his money for his food, he's sick. He's sick in the mind.
Oh.
But it might be sick in the mind for his lifetime, for his death. But it doesn't make a difference.
I
After
want
we
to save
die.
it for my children.
Okay, so he thinks he's saving it after he dies. We take it away
Okay.
because he can't argue with us anymore.
Uh-huh.
And this is Rabbi Yehuda. We said before. Rabbi Shimon argues. The Chachamim also argue. The Chachamim, same as Rabbi Shimon before. If he has money, he doesn't want to use it. You don't pay attention to him, and you don't give him, and he's going to die. He's going to die. It's his own fault. And that's what we pass him, by the way. We pass him that you don't take care of a person who has money, doesn't want to use it. What do you do with this pasuk? It means the pasuk is extra now. That's just they don't darshan it. Sometimes it says a double term, a double lashon, and it's not darshan it. That's the way the Torah talks. That's the usage of the Hebrew language. That means that's the way people would talk. It means don't have to darshan. Not always as well. You have to darshan each word. Sometimes that's the way the expression goes, and you don't have to darshan that as a double lashon. Now the Gemara comes with some famous stories, some more famous than others. Here goes Marukva. There are going to be two stories of Marukva over here, or maybe three. Marukva, Haba'anya b'Shevavuse, the V'Rogel Kol Yoma, the Shari Lei, the Shadi Lei, Arba, Zuzei b'Tzinor D'Dasha. There was a poor man in his neighborhood, Shevavuse is his neighborhood, that he used to every day throw 4 zuz next to the Tzinor D'Dasha, literally the hinge. It was not a hinge of our hinges, a hinge in those days, a hinge. Next to the door. Next to the door. What do you call next to the door? The hinge in those days was not like, it's like the hinge by the chorva, that you have a hole in the ground and a hole in the ceiling, and that's where it connects, not the hinges that you connect to the wall. But anyway, that's what Tzinur D'Dash is. And used to put over there next to the door, he used to put 4 zuz every day, and the man didn't know who was giving it to him. So one day the poor man decided, I'm going to check up who's the one who's giving me the money every day. That day, Ma'ukva happened to be late. I don't know what the story is exactly. He was late, and it says his wife came with him. I don't know how to do with each other. His wife came with him. What does that have to do with the fact that he was late? Asya Tevisu Bade. His wife came together with him. I'm not sure. I didn't get the story. I didn't look into Mefarshim, but he was late, therefore his wife came. What does that have to do with each other? If his wife came late or not, I don't know. But here it says that his wife came with him. And Chivin de Chazua, the Kamatzli Ledasha, once the man saw that they were turning towards the door, he probably was looking out the window or someone on a bush someplace, and he saw that they were turning towards his door. He went out after him to see who it is. They ran away. They didn't want him to see who it is. They went into an oven which was garuf. Garuf means that they had already taken away the coals, but it was still hot. A hot oven. I guess it was some baker's oven, like a big oven, like by the bakery or something like that. And they were hiding over there. Have a kamakali and carried the Marukva. Marukva's feet were getting burned, but his wife's not. She was more protected than he was. Amalei Devisu, so his wife said to Marukva, Shekol Karich, Oisav put your feet on top of my feet because I'm not being burned. College died there, he felt bad. How come I don't have the source that my feet also shouldn't be protected? Amalei, she said to him, no, it's a technicality. That I'm in the house. So when the poor people come, so then the no comes right away. I give them food, but you give them money, and then they have to go to buy the food. So there's the schus of the stock that the woman gives, the bread, is more potent than the schus of the man who gives money.
And that would be why her feet don't burn.
Right. She was
She had a schus.
schus, that her tzedakah was very protected her. Now she shouldn't get burnt because she was trying to do a good tzedakah. He also trying to do a good tzedakah, but her tzedakah is worth more. Well, why were they so careful not to embarrass him? Dama Mazutra about and they ran away and into the oven. Dama Mazutra about Tu Yama Rav, or some say different name. Rami Lam Rav Huna Bar Viznam Rav Shimba Chasida, and some say different name. Rami Lam Rav Yochim Shimba B'Shim Ben Yochai. What do they say? Famous Gemara. It's better a person to put himself into the oven, the furnace, and not embarrass his friend in public. Now here they weren't trying to embarrass him. He wanted to see who it is. But probably if it would have been when they find out it's Marukah, then he would have been more embarrassed. He thought it was somebody else, but if it was Marukah, probably he wasn't. I think that's I'm saying my own shot. That if he wanted to know, he wanted to embarrass himself. So what do you want? He wants to embarrass himself. But probably he didn't realize that it was somebody like Marukah. He would be more embarrassed than he was expecting. So that's why they didn't want to embarrass him.
They ran away and he didn't see.
Right, he didn't see who they were. Minolan, where do you know that a person should rather burn himself in the furnace than to embarrass people? Mitoma, famous story. The Sittim would say that she was taken out to be burnt, and he told you over Sisarei, and she didn't reveal. She just said that the person who is the father of my child, this pregnancy. He owns this thing, but she didn't say what it is. If Yudah wasn't going to admit, she wasn't going to say.
Is the whole thing in Masasa Sharma bringing from his daf?
Next story. I mean, also Marukva, same person. Marukva. Another story about Marukva.
That's the end of that.
He would say, and you know the pasuk she was taken out, and she.
Yeah. They don't trust.
They don't say the rest of the pasuk. Next story. Marukva have Ani B'Shiv who said that every Yom Kippur he would send them 400 zuz, like for the year. He would give them stuff for the year, 400 zuz. It sounds like a few times that every Kippur is the beginning of the year. We had before people went to learn, they came back every Yom Kippur. For some reason, every Yom Kippur is the new year. That's how it sounds like. It means Rosh Hashanah is really the new year, but it's extension until Yom Kippur, and for some reason, always every Yom Kippur is the big day. So he sent 400 zuz every Yom Kippur. One time he sent it with his son. The son was the messenger to bring the money. Also, he came back. He says he doesn't need the 400 zuz. What did you see? I see that they were sprinkling old wine, like for a fragrance in the house. Like that's what rich people do. He could afford the yain yashan just for sprinkling. So delicate. He doubled it and sent him 800. So yeah, the Mepharshim say probably because he was Ani Ben Tovim. Again, the case of Ani Ben Tovim, he was used to such a aristocracy. So for him, that's the norm. But somebody else you don't give him. If he's rich, he's rich. But the person who went down from his prior status, so he might need it.
But he didn't take it, right?
Right.
He didn't take it from the son, or the son just didn't.
No, the son gave it, or the son brought it back. He says he doesn't need it. So then he sent him back double. The word "ifinu" means he doubled it.
Yeah.
New story, and I'd also Marukah. When the Marukah was dying.
What is lotzarich? We don't know what that means.
No, we know what it means. He said the son said he doesn't need it. The son said to the father he doesn't need the money. Go ahead.
I thought it meant that the son wanted to give it to him, and the man said, "I don't." Need it.
No. The son came home and said that he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it.
He's sprinkling funds of wine. So he says he does need it, and he needs even more because I'm only giving him for a regular person, but he uses that. He has a bigger expenses. And now it says about Marukah also. When he was dying, bring me my stock accounts. He wanted to see how much stock he gave in his lifetime. He saw 7,000 sianaki dinar. I don't know what it means. It says some kind of chashuv coin. He gave 7,000. I don't know 7,000. My provisions are light and it's a long road. It means on my road now that I'm going on, I need provisions, and I don't have enough provisions. It means the stock that he gave in his lifetime, he didn't think is enough for the road he's going on to the olam emes, as they say. Come, he gave away half of his estate. The Master Kashi, you're not supposed to give more than a fifth. How do you do that? If somebody gives gifts, should not give more than a fifth of his estate. He gave half. The answer is the only reason is when he's alive that he shouldn't become poor, and then he's going to have to come on to the people. After death, and now he's dying, he's not going to give away as much as he wants. Maybe you should say for the Yarshim also, he gave away half. New story. 2 lines from the bottom. The Baba Vatsai Zuzi B'Sidre B'Shodile La'Chorei or Mamsi Navshe L'Bei Anye. His Abba would tie money in a pouch, and he would throw it behind him, and he would avail himself to the places, to the houses of Daniel. That means we're going to the poor neighborhood, and he would throw packages of money behind him that
he shouldn't
see where they are. He would turn his eyes in order to see that there are no Ramoim coming. Means he knew the people. If he sees somebody else coming that's not the poor, means he would also check from the corner of his eye that there are no fakers that are coming to take the money. But the poor people felt comfortable that he doesn't know who they are. New stories. That means that kind of stuck up a say that they know they're getting it from. Before you see by Marukva, he knew who he's giving. Let's point out. Marukva knew who he's giving it to, but the recipient didn't know who he's getting it from. Here, the recipient knows who he's getting it from, but he doesn't know who he's giving it to. And they know that he doesn't know. The Matan B'Seis, it could be what they call that nobody knows. So go through a Gabbai Staka, the Mamam, that he doesn't know who he's giving it to, and the recipient doesn't know who he's getting it from. That's the best. There was a poor man that Reb Chanina would send him every Erev Shabbos, Kamali Shabbat, every Erev Shabbos he would send him 4 zuz. 4 zuz for the week. So one time he sent it with his wife, his 4 zuz. She came back and says he doesn't need it. My chazos, what did you see? Shami Devakamale, I heard them asking him, with what are you going to dine? Betali Kesef or Betali Zel. So Rashi says it means 2 kinds of tablecloths. Fancy tablecloths. It doesn't mean gold and silver, Rashi says, but it means Rashi says it means mapot. Mapot shel pishtan lebanot or pishtan meshi. So either it's white, and white kesef means silver color or golden cover. Rashi says that it means either from linen, that's fancy linen, or from silk, which is gold color. So it doesn't mean literally gold and silver. That's how, and also, and Teshuvos points out over here, Teshuvos agrees to Rashi. Teshuvos says the reason over here that he didn't get upset, no, that he didn't double it. Tablecloth, that's right, mapot, yeah. See, first the Gemara says, you're right, you're not going to send him. Here he agreed not to send him. And Teshuvos says because he wasn't, this is not something that, Teshuvos is asking the kasha. He says this is definitely a rich man. A person who has this is definitely rich. So he said, I'm not going to give it tzedakah. And he said, Omar. And his Reb Chanina said, that's what Reb Elazar said. Let's have gratitude to the fakers. Because since there are some fakers, the people are excused. They don't always give tzedakah because they might be choshesh he's a faker. Because there are fakers. Shel malei, hey, if not to the fakers, we'd be sinning that we're not giving enough tzedakah. Now we have at least an excuse. Maybe he's a faker. But you find there are fakers. That the poor man is going to call out to Hashem and you're going to get a sin. The Tani Rabbi Chia Barav Midifti, he said a brisa. This is the brisa. If somebody doesn't give tzedakah, it's like he's doing avodah zarah. Here it says that if you don't give loan, if there's someone a loan, but the Gemara learns out tzedakah also, so it's called the bar b'liyal. It's called the b'liyal. It's called the lowly thing. And you find that this word b'liyal is used by avodah zarah. That over there it's talking about avodah zarah. They did vayatichlos and sheiram. They made everybody do avodah zarah. Ma'al and avodah zarah, kind of avodah zarah. So someone that doesn't give tzedakah to people that are supposed to get, so he's like avodah zarah. But the fact that but now we have an excuse. The fact that there are some people that are fakers, so it's not such a time when we don't give tzedakah because we can say we thought maybe they're faker. Tana Rabbanan, hamasame es eno, v'amatzbez bitno, v'makapeach es shokav. All kinds of fakers that they make themselves as if they need tzedakah. He makes himself like he's blind. He puts on a pair of sunglasses, whatever, with a walking stick, or he makes his stomach look overblown, like some kind of disease, or he makes his feet in a way that he can't walk. He makes himself a fake. He goes with crutches, goes with a cane, whatever it might be. And if he's not going to die until it's going to happen. If he fakes it out, it's going to happen. If he takes tzedakah and he doesn't need it, at the end he's going to become poor. He's going to need it. That we don't obligate the poor man to sell his house and his his appliances, in order to get money. Means that he has a house, keep the house, and if he doesn't have enough money to support himself to give him tzedakah, even though if he would sell his house, so then he could have money. You don't obligate him to sell his house, and also not his furniture. Below, do you not? Contradiction. But Tanya, We do downgrade and we tell them if you're using gold, sell the gold, use silver. If you're using silver, sell copper. So you see that you do tell them to downgrade his style of living in order to be able to get money for it. And you don't have to support him on his present level because he has a house and furniture and appliances. First, the Gemara tries to differentiate what kind of appliances. If it's a bed and a table, you tell him to sell it and get cheaper ones. But cups and plates, you don't. You don't tell him to downgrade because that's the level he's used to. But the Gemara says, what's the difference? Just like you tell him to use a regular plate, he looks at you like, I can't use a regular plate. Like it's disgusting to use a plain Corel or something like that. So if that's so too. A bed and a table also. He says, no, I can't use this. So what's the difference if it's, more doesn't see the difference. And more what's the word? Rejects. More rejects this answer. Okay, something else that he surely doesn't need. Silver plow. Now, who has a silver plow? I don't know. But it means that's something that Ibamish doesn't need. He can't say that it's disgusting. Things that he uses for his food, those kind of things, for his living quarters, they don't make himself. But if he has other kinds of utensils that he could use, cheaper ones, so then you do tell him to downgrade. This is before it came to collection. This is after it came to collection. So I didn't get the pshat. Rashi has a pshat over here that probably, I think also seems to agree. I don't have a good pshat, but I don't understand it well. Rashi says that in the beginning, when he's poor, when he's poor and he has a house and he has utensils that he could sell and make money, so we don't tell him to sell nothing. We don't tell him to sell. But in order to get the stuff, he didn't start taking stuff yet. And the question was, should he take tzedakah? So we're not going to tell him to sell things, we'll give him tzedakah. But if we're collecting, Rashi says it means the case would be that we gave him tzedakah, and now we have to take back from him because he wasn't allowed to take. We're collecting from him back whatever he took. Rashi says, I didn't get the pshat well. It says, we're not like a shikopeya. He was unqualified for taking stuff. He took tzedakah and he wasn't allowed to. And Bezin comes and takes back from him. But no, you find out he was rich. Why did he take like a shikopeya? Bezin born to go with a man who Bezin collects what he took. And over there, if he doesn't have what to pay back, then we're going to tell him to downgrade and sell his house in order to pay back the stuff that he took unrightfully. But in the regular case of a poor person that he doesn't have what to eat, but we tell him to sell his appliances in order to be able to get money to food. No, that we don't tell him. Okay, Yashiko Chacham.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure.